I've said this over and over again on this channel. I think our industry has done a lousy job of preparing you for this next chapter of life, retirement. And in this video, I'm going to share with you 8 of the costly mistakes you need to avoid as you're going into retirement, and not all of them are plainly financial. But before we get there, hit the subscribe button. I've got 32 years in this business. I want to share with you my and my clients' experiences so you can learn from them. And hit the notification bell so you can be alerted to when we post new videos. So I mentioned it at the top. I just think we've done a lousy job of focusing on what's really important for you as you go into retirement. And for the most part, the number one thing our industry tells you to look at is the money management, right? But that's not the whole picture, and that alone does not drive you to have a fulfilling or happy or rewarding retirement. So my clients tell me that I'm sort of 50% financial planner and 50% therapist or psychologist. And the reason for that is we spend as much time on talking about and preparing for life's journey in this next chapter, and all that's important there, along with the financial and the numbers and the money management stuff. But it really is a combination and a good balance of these issues. And again, this is where I think our industry misses the boat. So that's why I want to share with you now those 8 top mistakes I believe you need to avoid. So let's get started. The number one mistake, in no particular order, 1 through 8. But I think all of these are really important, and believe it or not, as usual, I think the one of the more important ones for last. But number 1 is the timing of when you take your Social Security benefit. I've called it in a number of our videos, and you can take a look at our videos on our playlist for Social Security. But I think that the issue that you have to deal with over 567 different claiming strategies, is do I take it too early, or what I call the penalty phase, or do I take it later and the bonus phase? And there's so many different calculations and factors that go into this decision. It's all a part of the bigger planning process, but you really need to crunch the numbers, have an awareness of your own situation, both financially and health-wise, what your income needs are, what your tax situation is, how long you're going to be working for. A lot of this comes into play when making that choice, because once you make the choice, 12 months later, it becomes an irrevocable decision. Now, you can do a do-over in those first 12 months. And again, we talk about that in another one of our videos on Social Security. But you are going to live with this decision forever, as will your spouse. And therein lies another issue. And again, another video that we put on with regards to proper spousal planning. Now, the number 2 mistake, and it actually is one of my favorite client stories, is no one ever gave you the green light to spend. Now, one of my greatest clients, and unfortunately she just passed away at the age of 101. But when we first got together, which goes back almost 30 years ago, she was recently widowed. And when we had done the planning, it was clear she had more than enough money to lead the rest of her life, even to the age of 101. But my client was stuck in that mindset that so many are, that up until this retirement, we've been told to save, 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 so that at some point we can spend. But we're never told when exactly we can. Now, the planning itself can give you some insights and help you to get to that point and overcome the hurdle and make the transition from saving to spending. But the favorite story for my favorite client is when she went down, I think it was to St. Martin, and she came back and she called me up and she said, "Mark, I want to thank you. She says, I went down, and you know me, I just don't like to spend, but I did go into this store and I did buy not only one sweater, but I bought two. And she was so proud. It was such a fun moment to have. And as you can tell, I've remembered that story for many, many years. But it is something that we have to overcome. For many people that I know that they do have more money than they probably need, they just haven't been given the insight, the green light, the switch to say, it's okay, you can go out and spend now. The number 3 mistake, and this is particularly for those of you who worked for someone else, is Uncle Sam. You know Uncle Sam, he's a part of every one of our families, right? But as you worked for somebody else and you got a paycheck, they withheld your taxes. Now, if you were self-employed, you didn't have that issue because you had to pay your own taxes. But for many people, when they go into retirement, particularly in that first year, they may not be aware of the fact that along the way, depending upon what kind of income is coming in, they may have to pay out of pocket on an ongoing or quarterly basis, the quarterly estimated taxes. Because if you don't, and then that next year you are going to have to come up with the full amount in one full lump sum, it may be very hurtful, or you may not even have that amount of money in a lump sum available to be paid. So go to your accountant, maybe the year before you're going to retire. Talk to that person and find out what are the quarterly estimates you're going to need to make. And in your first year of retirement, maybe check in with that person near the end of the year to make sure you're on track. The 4th costly mistake, very costly, and it feeds into the number 1 fear. So I want to get into that right now. The 4th costly mistake is being too conservative with your money management. Now, you may be retiring, but that doesn't mean the management of your money should be retiring. Do you understand what I'm saying? You still need to be prudent. You still need to take on the appropriate amount of risk with your money so that you don't, number 1 fear, outlive your money in retirement. I've seen and heard many people who, once they go to retire, they put it under the mattress or put it in just a checking or savings accounts to save the principal. But the reality is that doesn't save the principal, because even if in the ideal world we're not even taking any income out of that bucket, you're still losing to inflation each year. You're still losing purchasing power each year if you're not able to grow that money to some minor level. And if you're taking money out, which most people are at some point, whether it's out of their retirement accounts or their joint taxable accounts, you've got to overcome the fact that not only are you taking money out and paying taxes on it and being hit with inflation. So you must be aware of how much is the appropriate risk for you. And that's why we developed the personalized investment benchmark. And that benchmark is all about understanding what your cash flow need is, and then aligning your money management with how much risk you should take with your money to get you the income that you need. Don't take on more risk than you should, but certainly don't take on less risk or no risk, because believe it or not, if you think about it, that no risk scenario actually could be very risky down the road. Now, I don't know if you know whether or not you're actually prepared for your retirement. And in my recent book, Don't Outlive Your Money in Retirement, I developed a quiz. I want you to invest 2 minutes in the quiz. It's up in the banner, okay? And once you fill out the quiz, A score for you immediately. Which of the 3 preparedness stages you are in for retirement? Get you some worksheets and a free chapter of the book so you have some more clarity. Again, I've been doing this for 32 years, 33 years actually this week. And I think it's really important that I give to you some of the insights and experience I've seen through my clients' eyes so you don't make those mistakes as well. So the number 5 mistake, and it could be very costly, and let's call it ready to spend, okay? You've been working all of these years, and for some of you, you've been putting off some of the decisions to go or do or purchase toys or clothes or homes until such time that you retire when you're truly going to enjoy them. And then once you retire, you go, yay, congratulations, let's go spend it all now. That could be a mistake. So let me digress for a moment. So the books say that you'll probably spend somewhere between 70 or 80% of the income that you had when you were working, that becomes your need in retirement. But what I have found from my clients is that they do typically spend more than usual, or more than they typically might have planned for, in the first 2, 3, 5, 7 years of their retirement. They may be healthy and active and want to go and do and travel, visit the kids, the grandkids, have experiences they hadn't had the time to have before. And if you haven't done the planning, and if you haven't put in the numbers and the bucket list items that you need to in order to make sure that you feel that you're not going to run out of money, then this could be a costly mistake down the road. So make sure when you do the planning, maybe for the first few years, you put in your plan a little bit more than you thought you were going to spend. It's better than putting less than, because if you end up spending more than you said you were going to in your plan, that might bring trouble down the road. The number 6 one, and again, I go back to the fact that our industry focuses on just the finances, right? Here's one of those mistakes that could be very costly. It's not being on the same page with your spouse. The gray divorce, the percentages are growing in that area. When those who are about to or retired and this new chapter of life hits them, and there's new time and choices and things to do and places to go, and when they're not on the same page, and or if finances are an issue and they haven't addressed these beforehand, there could be real trouble in paradise. I strongly suggest to my clients, and we play a role in this with them, to have conversations about what the expected roles will be in retirement. So I have a client, a couple, they're in their 70s, and I said to him, so what are you going to do the rest of your life now that you're about to retire? He says, I don't know, I'll probably play golf a little while, volunteer. When I asked her the same question, what are you going to do? More importantly, what keeps you up at night? She answered, I don't know what I'm going to do with him. That could be an issue. We haven't been in this position before. He or she or both of you went to work before. You have agreed to be for better or for worse together, but maybe not for lunch every day. So have that conversation to define what your roles will be independently and together so that you don't avoid a very costly mistake down the road. Number 7 is another one of those sort of combination of financial and psychological ones. And I can only provide so much advice in this arena, but we talk about it all the time with our clients because it comes up all the time in our formal meetings with them. It's the kids and the grandkids. What do I mean by that? It may be that the kids and or grandkids need help, more specifically, money from you. So the question is, Do you have enough money, or do you understand what the impact would be if you gave the kids money on your retirement now or later? Now, I talk to my clients all the time about college planning, when their kids were going to go to college. And I said to them, do not bankrupt your retirement to send your kids to college. My advice is the same once the clients are retired. Do not bankrupt your retirement to help your kids along. Now, there is a level that you may feel one or the other that you need to help provide some guidance or support, and that's important. And you need to be there for them if that's what you wish to do. But to provide for them beyond the means that you need for the rest of your retirement, I believe that's a costly mistake. Now, you may decide from a personal level that's what you need to do, and that's a personal choice. But I think that you really need to balance, and this is a conversation, again, as I said, we have with our clients, what is right and what is wrong personally, and what you wish to do and how you wish to lead your life in the future, and come up with the proper balance for you. And here's the final one, and I'm telling you, this is the big one, okay? I call it too much time. This could be a real killer for you in your retirement. What do I mean by that? You had the business culture before. You had a reason to get up every morning, to get dressed, to have some breakfast, to go to the workplace. You had colleagues to talk to. You were a respected member of that community. You were giving to hopefully a growing and fun organization. And when you give all of that up, because it's more than just the paycheck you get, what are you going to do? How are you going to get fulfilled? What are you going to do with all of this time? How, again, getting back to the spouse, are the two of you going to work together? How are you going to become truly fulfilled? Is it the kids and the grandkids? Is it travel? Is it volunteering? Is it working at Home Depot or Lowe's? Is it just sitting on the beach, as one of my clients would like to do? But outside of outliving your money, this is the biggest conversation we have with our clients. What do I do with the rest of my life? So check out our playlist called Don't Outlive Your Money in Retirement, which talks more about each of these situations in depth.